Hello. If you're someone who, I guess, copies a large amount of data over SSH, via SCP, SFTP, and it takes a while, I'm going to cover, I guess, two methods that could substantially increase the speed. One will be for, I guess, newer systems. We'll do that later in the video. But I'll start off with just something that's probably more relevant to older systems, but just any environment where the CPU is kind of the limiting factor. Uh, so I'm going to demonstrate this in the lab I have here. The CPU I have is, where we go, this one here. Now this is from, I think, 2017, which is like 8 years old. But even an 8-year-old CPU, man, this thing can chunk through the encrypting and decrypting the data pretty quick in SSH, but we can still get, noticeable speed increases. And I'm just going to copy data from one VM, my Kali Linux, to another VM, CentOS 9. This is two VMs sitting in the same host, so we don't have to worry much about the network. But that is just something you should be aware of, in, where you're copying your data. What's the network speed? Is it going to be a limiting factor? The CPU, which we're going to look at, hard drives, the read speed and whatnot. So there's a few tests you can do, which let's just cover that before we actually go on to SSH. So we're just gonna, and it's good for new people who haven't seen this before and how to test stuff. So a good way to test, just get a rough idea of your network speed between the two hosts. iPerf3, that's a great one. So I'm gonna do where I'm gonna send the data. I'm gonna run server port 555. And we're going to go from the client and send data with iPerf and see, kind of a rough estimate of what we're getting here. Yeah, so this is pretty quick. Probably not going to be the limiting factor. Let's just take some notes. So we got network, we're doing iPerf 3, and yeah, let's just 10 plus qubits. That's not bad. Let's see. So another thing we should check. Now, one thing I have to be careful, because there are two VMs running off of similar SSDs. I don't want to read from the SSD and write to the SSD at the same time. So what I am going to do is just dump the data to dev null when I send it to CentOS 9. But we can just get an estimate of what that might be. So let's just do, actually, this is going to test either getting zeros or dumping the dev null, whichever's slower, but it's not going to matter. So OF equals no. One thing, if you're doing this for testing, make sure you set the block size. That's pretty important. If you don't set the block size for this, the default's going to be like, I think 512, and that's actually going to make things noticeably slower. If you set the block size too big, depending on what you're doing, that can make it slower too. So why I'm using 4096, it's related to the file system, right? So, and the block size that's in that. So if we just check where I'm reading stuff here, I'm going to read stuff from my RAID. So let's do sudo tune to fs -l/dev mdo. So that's this one here on my RAID, and let's just for block size. So block size, yes, that's why I'm using that right now. So back to what we're doing. Let's see, block size count equals, and let's get some nice numbers so we can see what's going on. Okay, that's yeah, 3.6 gigabytes a second. That's pretty good. Probably not going to be the limiting factor in our tests. So let's just take that down there. So this is dev 0 to dev null, CentOS 9. What was that? 3.6. Oops. 3.6. Okay. So the other thing I want to test, I guess, I wanted to use SCP. So I'd set up, let's see, I set up a RAID, but it's a software RAID here. So reading from two SSDs. We actually don't need to use the disk if you're just testing the SSH, but well, I'll do that later in the video so you can see how to do that. But I want to do SCP and read, so I'm going to be sending my 15 gigabit file over. But let's just test this. So there's a couple ways. We'll just do two. Probably need sudo for this one. Oops, not HTTP. What am I doing? And we're testing, oops, the RAID one here. So this is going to give us a read test. Caching should be really good. Yeah. But let's get just the non-caching. Yeah, so about 800. And then another way to do it, let's see, you just do d-if equals. We'll do that a 15 gigabit file, right? And just send that to /dev/null and bs equals 4096. And we want some nice numbers. Here we go. So this is going to be probably some of it cached and some reading, right? So it's not, it probably should be somewhere around here. If you run it a couple times, you'll get a better estimate what it's going to be. You see, yeah, now it's starting to go back right here. So what are we doing? Disk read, the RAID, let's say about 800 to whatever, 900. So that's, if we start getting around there, that's probably going to be the limiting factor, but spoilers, that's that is not going to be our limiting factor. So now let's just see if we just do a regular, copy your large file. I mean, this file's not too large, but good enough for our test. SCP, send our file. We're going to send it to CentOS 9, and we are going to dump it to /dev and /null. I don't want to write to the same disk I'm reading from, right? And let's see what we get. So, yes. We can probably see if we check here. There's one, see, you'll probably notice one CPU that's might be used a lot. Let's check on this one here too. Might have to start again. So one CPU that's probably used a lot. So that's kind of where our limiting factor is just something like this, right? But it's, what's nice about this is very easy to get the speed increases. You don't have to do friggin' anything, which is amazing. Those are the things I kind of like, right? So all we have to do, like the main thing is doing is it has to encrypt the data and then decrypt it. But with SSH, there's a bunch of different ciphers you can use. So you can just test a few and see which one works well for you. And it's going to depend too on, your CPUs and the architecture that you're using. But a few ways of doing this, let's say we'll go on our SSHD one here. And let's see. Now on SSHD, if you're going to do this, you need root T, and we're going to just grep for ciphers. And here's the different ciphers that the server side has available, which can be very different from what the client might have, right? So if we check the client side, which is our Kali Linux, SSH-Q, I think Cypher should do it there, right? And we can try different ones, right? And then there's another interesting one here, another way to check too. I think we're checking the server side anyways. If you're familiar with nmap, you can run it against the host and it'll spit out, there's your encryption algorithms, but all the other ones too, right? So, and then, but what's really nice is you don't even need sudo or nmap installed if you're kind of curious. You can actually just connect from one host to the other. Do debug level 2. You can go up to 3, but we only need 2, right? And we'll just connect to it, and we can see what the two hosts have, and we can see what cipher we're using, right? Let's just disconnect, and then we can see what ciphers are available. Okay. Okay, so if we scroll back here in the text, let's see here. We want to go to, here we go here. So you can see the cipher we are using is right here. And then let's get a list of all the ciphers. It's down here. We can also keep going up here too. Max. Oh, there we go, right here. So you can get all these ciphers, which look pretty similar if you go, remember, over here, right? Now, this is an x86 architecture, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, they've been adding things to it for a while to make it better at AES encryption and de-encryption. So let's give it a try with this cipher instead of the one it's using now. Right, so we're going to do the same thing we just did, just copy that file. Let's just go find it here. And we're just going to try this cipher instead and see what happens. Oh, look at that. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. And that's it. Like, literally, you don't have to do, I like stuff like this. This is just love it. You don't have to install anything new, set anything up, do a bunch of reconfigurations. It's just a little option in something you're already using, and that's it. Maybe update your scripts, and man, you can get substantial speed increases just like that. Now, also, I'm gonna remind you, it's going to depend on your environment. If you have older, OSs, older SSH are going to have different ciphers. Also, it's going to depend on your architecture, what CPU you're using. So, like a great example is I have an old Raspberry Pi 3 here. Let's just check the CPU. Right, this is different CPU architecture. And let's just see what is the IP on this one here. Let's just see. So it's 136. How fast it copies here. Of course, first let's do our iPerf test. All right, let's do our iPerf test, and we will do the same on this one. That was 36, I believe. 36-B1234. Now, in my Raspberry Pi 3, I have, it says gigabit, but it's not actually a gigabit. It's USB 2 to gigabit. So theoretically, I should get, what's that, around half, 60, but I can get up to 40, right? So if I'm getting close to 40, then that. So let's just SCP, SCP our file. We'll send that to our Raspberry Pi, and we'll dump that because we definitely don't want to send that to the micro SD on the card. I'm pretty sure that's not good. Let's see what we're getting here. Yeah, 29, 30, 31. That's pretty fast. That is not bad. It's going to be hard to get even show faster than that, actually. And then what is it using? Oops, 36. Let's go find what we're using here. Ah, it's using this one, right? So if we switch to, let's say, a different one, let's see the other algorithms here. Where's the ciphers? There we go. And let's say we'll switch to the one we used on the other system and see how that one goes, right? Oh, let's just this one. That's horrible. So yeah, the cipher you is going to depend on a few things. Yeah, the one we used on the x86 was better, and vice versa, right? So I think that kind of covers older environments or just environments where the CPU is the limit. You kind of got to test things, right? Now, well, if you have a newer environment, you know, shiny new CPUs, enough cores and RAM on your system to, you know, find the ultimate question to everything. How else can you get more speed? You know, you're pulling your data from your triple NVMe's, 7,000 megabits each, and sending it over your 100 gigabit network. Well, I think I just want to direct your attention is this here. It is an SSH made for high speed. Specifically, they talk about something like, you know, 100 gigabit networks. Parallelization of your ciphers, which is pretty good. They have, though if you check the FAQ, they're definitely going to recommend things like tuning your TCP stack. Here's a great one. No cipher. That's kind of cool. Or if you do use it, make sure you're choosing stuff like you might have to specifically pick the cipher that has, you know, multi-threading or whatnot. So if you're in a new environment, that could be something for you. They do kind of say, you know, 1 gigabit networks, local home, it's probably not going to help too much. Though, just out of curiosity, I did install it on here. So let's just do a comparison between SSH and this new HPN-SSH. Now, I did not do any special configurations. I just installed it, no tuning or anything. It is running on CentOS 9. I think on port 2222. Yes, here we go. So first, let's just do what we're doing before here. We'll do it from the CentOS 10 to the 9 box. And let's see what we get. Oh, what am I doing wrong here? Need a little dash. There we go. Okay, not bad. 580. Not using any disk here. Just straight SSH encryption, and away we go. Okay, so I don't expect anything too much better than that. Oh, we got to change the port. Oh, forgot. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see what we got here. Oh, that, yep. So not doing anything, just installing that and using it. It's already better. Now, what if we change to one of the ciphers that they mentioned? Oh, it's going back down. Maybe it's the same. It isn't any better. Okay. Well, the one cipher they mentioned. Now, I'm doing this, but this isn't actually how it says in their FAQ about actually using ciphers. But let's just try it and see. Yeah, that's garbage. Wow. Okay, so what they had in their FAQ was this. Better. Okay, now there was something interesting, though in my testing was slightly disappointed. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't seem to be too much better. There was a way to do with no cipher. S9 dash port 1, 2, 3, 4. F equals // null goes 4096. I have progress. No, I need progress in here. Okay. It says enabled none cipher. Why is it slower? That doesn't make any sense. This should be fast. I don't know. I just fooled around with this for a little bit, not too much. Though there is one other switch we can add. Let's try that. -o none mac. We don't need anything about checking data integrity or anything, do we? I mean, is that important, really? Oh, there we go. There we go. 800. Can we get to 9? Oh, maybe not. anyways, that's pretty much everything I wanted to go over. There's a few little things in my testing. I did not notice any big speed increase, but maybe in your setup it was. We're looking at the max, right? And you can try different data integrity max. Oops, what am I doing? And maybe you might notice a speed increase if you try a few different of these. And I guess on the client, it'd be something like, and it's all the same stuff, right? SSH-Q, these ones. So all the same stuff as before. And maybe like in my testing, it was slightly faster, but that could have just been the, well, I hope I saved some of you out there some time when you're copying lots of stuff over SSH. And a lot of the commands that I use, I will put them in the description with, a little title or whatnot, so you don't have to like search through the video and trying to find them and then copy them. You can just cut and paste from there. And thanks for watching, and hope to see you in the next video. Take care.